showed up at this restaurant 4 times a year, but he had 2 houses, and those of us who put in 100 hours every 2 weeks were on food stamps and in Section 8 housing. We have opened the line for boss bashing, and so Adam and I,
and if you're watching on YouTube, this is exactly how we plan out the show. We're talking in the commercial break. What are we going to do on the next segment?
That's right.
We're very good at just making it up as we go along. That's an essential skill in life.
So, Adam and I are going to close it out with our bad boss stories. So I worked for years in the restaurant industry, and the restaurant industry is the industry that is currently, the restaurant bosses, their tears are flowing right now because their tears.
Boo-hoo.
Yeah, the restaurant bosses' tears are flowing right now because it is not as easy. It's still not impossible, but it is not as easy for them to lord homelessness and starvation over their workers, and so they're having a difficult time getting people to work for $2 to $10 an hour at their restaurants. So they're crying a lot. I worked in the restaurant industry for 3 years. What's that?
What was that first number you said?
What first number?
Of the salary for restaurant workers.
$2 to $10 an hour.
For tipped restaurant workers. I wonder how many people recognize. So tell people how much, when people refuse to tip at a restaurant, tell them how much your waiter or waitress is making per hour.
Yeah, $2.13 an hour is what I made for the whole time that I was a server. I eventually got promoted to shift manager, which is, not really actually management. You're just kind of like a team lead. And you know what I made when I was a shift manager? I made a cool $5.45 an hour.
Ooh, look at you, big shot.
I was a big shot being a shift manager.
You'd be surprised how many people will take a pay cut to call themselves a manager.
Yeah. No, that was a pay raise because I was making $2 an hour.
I have worked with people that will take a pay cut just so they feel important.
Yeah, keep an eye on those people.
Yeah.
They worry me.
Literally, our hourly workers make more than our first line managers.
Jeez.
And
there's
been several people that would take those
that take the job. That's crazy.
Just so they can call.
Some people really like power.
Yes, exactly.
So I didn't have any power. It was just more work. That was all that I had for my position as a shift manager. I just had to, in addition to waiting tables while I was a shift manager, I had to make sure that everybody in the back was doing what they needed to do. If somebody didn't show up in the back, then I had to go back and cook burgers while I was waiting tables. And I also had to order the groceries that night. And I also had to make sure that the numbers matched at the end of the night. And I also had to lock up, be the last one to leave for $5 an hour. And you don't make minimum wage after you stop taking tables. You still continue to make $2 an hour if you're a server while you're closing the restaurant, $5 an hour as a manager while I'm closing the restaurant, not making tips. It's BS. Our boss there.
So you would make, if you worked 8-hour day, you would make two $20 bills.
An 8-hour day at $5 an hour would be $40. Yeah. At $2 an hour, it would be $16.
Yeah. I mean,
but most of that, when you actually get your paycheck, is zeroed out because all of your because you get to take home your tips at the end of the day, but your tips, the credit card tips at least, are automatically counted on your forms, and so taxes are taken out from your tips and from your $2 an hour, all of that from your $2 an hour. So I had multiple occasions gotten $0 to $2 checks for 80 to 100 hours of work.
Yeah,
a $0 check for 100 hours of work over the course of 2 weeks.
That is insane. And so, for anybody that says, if you don't like it, go somewhere else, well, guess what? Man. There's going to be somebody else that has to take
Somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to do it. So our boss, not our general manager, he did have hiring and firing power, but he didn't make a whole lot of money either. He was a great guy, loved our general manager. The boss, man, the guy who owned the place, I worked at this restaurant for more than 3 years. Do you know how many times I saw the guy who owned the restaurant?
Twice.
Maybe 4 times over the course of 3 years. And yet...
You're telling me he didn't work?
Didn't work. And yet... I only saw him 4 times over the course of 3 years, and yet the funniest thing, he had 2 houses and a jet ski, and most of my coworkers were on food stamps and in Section 8 housing. I don't know how it is that he showed up at this restaurant 4 times a year, but he had 2 houses, and those of us who put in 100 hours every 2 weeks were on food stamps and in Section 8 housing, and couldn't afford to, could barely afford to put food on the table. So that's my bad boss story.
Well, I think when they call them job creators, maybe they're talking about the people who build yachts and jet skis and gated communities, right?
Maybe.
I spent several years in the restaurant and service industry, so definitely relate to what Jacob just shared. One that I want to point out is Sonic Drive-In. Primarily the ladies who bring you your ice cream and milkshakes are actually tipped employees. So even though it's a fast food restaurant, and they're lucky to get whatever change is left over at the end of the order, they are not paid minimum wage. They are relying on tips. In the restaurant industry, yes, they are griping and moaning like big babies because they are having they're struggling to fill staff right now.
And we are loving. I just want to make it clear. We are loving every second of it. Every time I see one of these articles where there's a business owner crying about not being able to fill jobs for starvation wages, I lap it up. I get my big mug of Boss Tears. Ben Shapiro has his leftist tears mug. I've got a big old, comically large sized mug of Boss Tears that I drink from, and it sustains me.
Well, for years, all we've heard about is how the free market is the most wonderful thing. Well, I guess your free market is not working the way you like it to right now.
Right. I mean, this is the market at work. People are having options, and guess what? Signing up to work at your restaurant for $8 an hour with unpredictable scheduling, where you may not know what your schedule is from day to day. You're gonna come in, you're gonna get treated like crap by some petty manager, with a power trip. Yeah. You're going to get treated like crap by a lot of customers, unfortunately, who, feel misery in their own life because they're being exploited. So they want to take it out on somebody, and it's probably you taking their order. The cuts and scrapes, the burns. I remember having to work on Christmas Day and having a line wrapped around the building from the moment I walked in to the moment we walked out and officially turned the lights off. Cleaning the grill and then hot grease splattering all over my face is a little parting Christmas gift for me.
Yeah, and one of the misconceptions, and it's talked about a lot, is that there is no union for service workers. There is no union specifically for restaurant workers. And guess what, folks? We organize in the restaurant industry. We have a union in Huntsville that you can join today. Right now, Jacob's got the stamps with him. If That's not, right. Huh?
I do.
There you go. You can join today, and we will teach you how to organize your coworkers and how to form a union in a restaurant, in the service industry, in the janitorial industry, in all of these industries where they say, I've never heard of a union being in there, so there's a misconception that there's not one. That's a fault. That's a misnomer. We will help you. All you have to do is contact us.
And if there's not one, you haven't seen one, that's just a sign that you need one.
Yeah.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.